G'day guys, Tills20 here and welcome back to Marble Mountain. In today's episode, we're going to be doing some work on the waterfront of Montana. This is an area that I have been struggling with knowing what to do. Originally I didn't have the train line stretching along this way, but in a live stream about 2 months ago, I ended up changing the train line to be following along the riverside because I felt like it didn't make much sense it going over a bridge across the river, and decided just to stretch it along the waterfront, which I think fits in a lot better. If you guys have been following the last few episodes, you'd know that I actually built this probably about a month ago, and I had full intention to release it a month ago, but then there's just been I released all those videos for the Sunset Harbor DLC, and then ended up doing some work on the fish market, and then all of a sudden it's been a month and I'm really just putting some commentary down to this. So you might actually notice there's some changes that we've made. So there's a bunch of things that aren't appearing in Montana at the moment. No, I haven't deleted them. This is just a month before. There's actually two other builds that I'm going to be releasing over the next couple of weeks that I have also pre-recorded. Pretty much just spent a whole weekend just building, and yeah, I just haven't gotten around to releasing any of that footage yet, so you're going to be seeing a bit of that over the next couple of weeks. I guess that's the benefit of isolation, is that you can just spend heaps of time just working on your cities, which I'm sure you guys are probably doing at the moment. So the area that we are working on is just down the road from the downtown, and it is in a pretty nice district. So I spoke about this when I built the area around this using the Green Cities DLC a couple of episodes ago, but basically I wanted this area to be quite gentrified. Probably wouldn't have always been like this. Probably would have been a couple of warehouses and a bit of an industrial area, but moreover, the last 15 or so years, this place has become a little bit more of a wealthier neighborhood. So there's some really nice condos around here. There's also the metro line, so there's good public transport, and being so close to the downtown and in such a nice picturesque location, some of the houses around here are really nice. So we are also going to be working on some really nice condos, some really nice apartments that are going to have some pretty spectacular views. I actually really like the work that I do in these houses. You'll see me work on them pretty shortly. I didn't anticipate this area to look like this, to be honest. I didn't really know what I was going to be building. I just knew that I wanted to build a park along here, and yeah, this ended up being pretty nice, this whole area. I always mention about the places that I want to live in Montana, and this might be up there for one of the locations. But what I am doing at the moment is I wanted to create a park that was going to stretch along this way, because I was noticing that we didn't really have that many parklands, along the shorefront, and I sort of feel like we needed to. I also felt like that, if this was once an industrial area and, there was probably some sort of industry along this shoreline, then they've probably, turned it into some sort of parkland. So I guess the only remnants of that industrial area is probably this train line, which would have connected up to some of the industry, but those connections have been long gone, and instead the train line just connects up to the central station, and all the industry is moved to the outer skirts of the city. And to be honest, I think the central station, and people who've been watching this channel for a while or been following the city for a while will know where it sits, but I think the central station's in a bit of a dumb location. I could have definitely chosen a much more practical spot for it, because I just think that it just doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. But regardless, it is where it is. I'm definitely not going to change it. But I think that was my struggle with trying to figure out where the train line was going to go, and the reason why I ended up deciding for it to go along the shorefront like this, because I didn't really have very many other options. I could have made it go underground, which I think is a little bit lame, and the bridge just didn't make a lot of sense. So there was really only one other way I could do it, and that was to hug this waterfront. So that's where it is at the moment. And then because we aren't actually making this area much nicer, I would imagine that all the apartments around here would have some sort of, double glazed windows or something like that, or noise cancelling walls, because the train's pretty close. So you might be thinking there's no way that a really nice apartment would be so close to a train line, and you're probably right, but damn it, we're gonna do it anyway because I think this turns out pretty cool. And I reckon if I was looking at a place to buy a house, I would not mind if there was a train line so close to my bedroom window, as long as the noise wasn't too noisy, I guess, or too crazy. I don't know, I guess the train line would probably be doing something, like maybe they have to take a very slow speed along this way, and like I'm sure there would be anyway because it's pretty close to these buildings. But I also think that there probably wouldn't be a huge amount of trains coming along here. I would think that it'd be probably mostly cargo that would be coming along this line, and potentially just like the odd interstate train or something like that, passenger service. But there is also like multiple other lines that get those sort of transportation in and out of the city. So this walkway, I mean, how cool, it's a bit funky, but it's there. I do like the way it looks. That walkway is a direct route for people to get down to the park and vice versa. And because I created that, I thought, you know what, this might be a good location to put a bit of detail work and put in some condos. And I am using the buildings that were introduced with the Green Cities DLC, which I've only just grabbed for this city, and you guys are probably very much familiar with it, but they're still very much a new toy for me as I check out the different buildings that I can use, and these are super nice. So yeah, really enjoyed putting these ones together. And then I ended up just using some ploppable asphalt to just bring the houses a little bit closer over the cliff front. And you might be thinking that looks pretty ugly, just being all this concrete mess or concrete jungle, and maybe not probably not worth the bucks if you're going to be living in a place like this. But don't worry, we end up making it look pretty nice. You can see a tennis court, which I guess is a basketball court, but we're just going to pretend it's a tennis court. And I just put a bit of railings around the side so people don't fall off, because I think that would be pretty dangerous. I've only got really one railing I can work with in Marble Mountain, because I have only subscribed to, no, I don't think I'm subscribed to any custom, no, I think it might be maybe a couple, but basically this is the only wall that I can use, the only railing I can use that is not terra conforming, so it doesn't conform to the land, which means that it's pretty much the only one I can use. So I might have to grab a couple more, because I think I'm being a little bit stingy with that. And now I've just brought this place alive by putting down some, these are like rooftop gardens or rooftop grass. So they were introduced with the Green Cities DLC, but you don't need the DLC to use them. And they work really well to basically create custom grass. And yeah, I don't think I've ever really used them for this technique before, but I use this a ton in the next couple of builds, because I felt like it was really effective, and it looks super nice. Like, it's all this really nice fluffy grass. It's not the it's not the best solution to making grass, because it is quite heavy on the props, but I think it's worth it. If I'm only gonna do it in some locations, and I thought, you know what, let's just do it here. You guys are probably telling me in the comment section that it would be very unrealistic to not have a net around the train line for people who are playing tennis. Yeah, you're right. I should totally have a net there, but I don't have any nets in my collection, so I just left it. So if they hit a ball over the edge, that's just too bad. They should be working on the aim, I guess. So this whole area, like, I don't do as much detail on all the condos and all the apartments that sit around here, but I really do love the way that this one turned out. And I decided that there should be, like, because we put a tennis court in, but we should probably get a little area for the kids to play. So this is me creating a custom built park, little playground, and I really like this. It's kind of like, snuck away in the corner there, and yeah, I just think it's a nice little corner for it. Just using some of the ground textures, surface painter to, just change the color a little bit and make it, I don't know, I'd imagine that it is gravel. I don't know why I'm imagining that's gravel, because it is actually gravel. But yeah, I feel like that was a really easy technique. And then I ended up just using some trees just to cover up the areas that didn't quite get covered up with the surface painter. I'm also going to be placing down like a bunch of, I guess, commercial buildings around this area too, because I did want this area to be a little bit more of a bit of a commercial hub. So there will be some like bigger buildings around here, but this like little stretch is more for like the residents, and most people around here are living in apartments because we are still pretty close to the downtown. Whereas on the other side of the main road, so the furthest away from the waterfront here, then we start getting back into the suburbs. And I think I've just got to be a bit careful as well I need to end the city at some point, as in not the series, not the, I don't mean like finished building. I just mean like I need a border where I say, okay, this is where the city, this is where the outskirts are, and I just need to finish it there. And I dare say it's going to look kind of unrealistic in like this area because I think it's going to be quite abrupt and there's not going to be any room for farms or, you know, other sort of things that you usually see on the outskirts of cities. But I just think that, you know, it is what it is. I think this series is, and I don't think I know, this series is probably less on the realistic side of city planning and more just, let's just try and make some cool stuff, which I'm sure you guys are pretty much used to. So I've just been placing down a couple more buildings that came with the Green Cities DLC. I don't know why I'm talking about this because you guys probably don't care because you already know all this stuff, but yeah, there's some really cool buildings like pools and what else is there? Like fitness centers and stuff like that. So I've really made the most of those sort of buildings in this area because I think that this place would be a pretty affluent part of the city, which we tend to have a fair amount of those sort of places. You saw me building a couple of weeks ago in a less affluent area, and yeah, I like having the different contrast between the different neighborhoods in the city. You probably also noticed that I didn't put as much work into the other apartments that sit around here. So that's generally my rule of thumb is, you know, some areas I'll put like huge amount of detail and will take like 3 hours just to detail. It didn't take that long to, you know, detail those other ones, but it took a while. And then there was just this other area that I was like, yeah, I'll just put down a custom wall and, you know, some trees and that's it. You know, pretty much not going to any sort of lengths to make that look much nicer than it is. And that's because, you know, you got to kind of pick your battles when it comes to building a city. I mean, I planned for this series to go on for much longer. I don't want it to go on forever, but, you know, to some points where you just got to be like, you know what, I think this will probably do. And those apartments that, you know, the blue and pink one, they're, yeah, that'll do kind of moments. And like I said before, there is a bit of industry still kicking around this area. So that was my little industrial area. It's probably, you know, it's got a more vacant lot than there are actual office blocks in industrial, but also industry. But yeah, I kind of like that there's still that remnant, those remnants of you know, what it used to be like, and it's probably still functional, that little bit of industry, because we are still pretty close to the city. So, you know, there will be bits of industry. But I'm sure the people around here probably like to think that, you know, they're living in a rough or, you know, non-gentrified area, but, you know, they really are. This place is nice. Okay, the rock wall that I just created, it's pretty ugly. Don't worry, I get rid of it. That's only, yeah, I know they're like vanilla rocks there, and it's not half bad. And I use the same technique in my Miami series, which, by the way, guys, thank you so much for jumping on board with that. But yeah, I tried to use the same technique here, and I was like, this will do. And then I was like, towards the end, I was like, nah, stuff it. I'm just gonna grab some of my the old school, what are they called? I think they're the break wall from Strict Toaster, and he created them like in 2017, and they're still going pretty strong. So I end up replacing them a little bit later on. You'll see it in the cinematics, which, by the way, cinematics are top notch today. Now we're starting to work on the park a little bit more, putting in a bit of detail. Try my best not to overcomplicate this area, because like I want there to be a lot of vacant areas. And for inspiration this time I'm not actually taking ideas from Los Angeles or San Francisco, which is the general area that I usually take ideas from, but instead I'm creeping on Prez's territory and I'm checking out Seattle, because Seattle has this really cool waterfront that, again, pretty sure used to be a little bit more industrial than it is today, and they've sort of converted it into this like nice little pathway and park area, and that you can sort of see that they're still like doing a bit of renovations. But it's really nice, and it has a train line that snakes around here too, which is why I sort of chose it for, you know, the idea behind this area, and not really taking, you know, I'm not copying what this place looks like, just sort of getting the general gist. And yeah, I noticed there's a whole bunch of vacant areas, so I thought, yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a bit of grassland around this area, and yeah, I think it turns out pretty nice. But again, I think it's, you know, Prez's territory, because he's taking, he's doing a bit of a Seattle build. If you haven't checked it out, it's pretty cool. But yeah, and that city's pretty awesome, so I think I might be taking some more inspiration from other areas like that. And now I'm starting to work on some car park around here, because I noticed we didn't have any areas for parking. So I thought that this area just underneath the train line would work really well. Obviously this isn't real parking, this is just fake custom prop parking, but you know, who cares? I think this looks pretty good. You know, this is where it would be if it was in real life, rather than taking up precious space on the parkland. And it's actually, there's not a hell of a lot of space around here, so I think that this works out far better than anything else I could create. But yeah, let me know what you think about this build in the comments section below. I mean, I am really stoked with building around this area, because it's really been lacking a lot of atmosphere, and it's been really tricky to, you know, avoid going in this area and showing you guys. I've been wanting to work here for ages, but yeah, just haven't really, yeah, I have had plenty of opportunities, but I mean, I've still been releasing like 3-4 episodes every week, which is pretty, yeah, that's about as good as it gets. So yeah, I haven't even had the chance to even release any of this footage, so I'm really glad I can actually finally get this out and show you guys, and I'm pretty keen to show you the rest of this area and how it turns out. Next episode, or at least the next episode that I've pre-recorded, is going to be an intersection that's going to start our journey over to the other side of the river, which I'm like busting at the seams to finally get over there and start working on it. And then we start working on like some really nice Beverly Hills style mansions that are going to sit up on the hillside, and yeah, I'm really keen to show you that too. But just to finish up the build, I thought to put in some not as modern style houses around here. So I've put in some more Art Deco type of old school housing, and you know, because I need a little bit of history around this area. It wouldn't just be like the most modern houses. So yeah, I ended up putting some of those sort of places around here, and I don't know, I think they turned out pretty nice. They're a little bit old, but I still think that they fit around this area pretty well. And because we are starting to expand out the neighborhoods around here, I thought I should, you know, just finish off the build. I know I said that before, but yeah, I just wanted to finish up this area by putting down some, you know, more like less townhouses and more just like single resident houses. And, you know, try to get my brain into the fact that we are getting out of the city. We need to start getting into the suburbs and finishing off this area, which I tend to start doing in the next couple of episodes. So you'll start seeing that. But guys, that is pretty much it for today's build. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments section, and if you have any suggestions for other things around here, then yeah, hit me up and I will take them on board. Before I go, I want to give a special shout out to some of my patrons like Harvey Cross, Ben Tricky, and Dan Foster. Guys, thank you so much for watching, very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!